Hello, this is Alexandra Jones, the editor of The Ophthalmologist. I'm here today with Dr. Michael Posner, ophthalmologist at Sellersville, Pennsylvania in the US. Welcome, Dr. Posner. Really good to have you with us today. And we are here today to talk about your innovation. Could you tell me about your product, what it is, and how you came up with the idea?
Well, my product is a way to help ophthalmologists more accurately align toric intraocular lenses. I wanted to come up with something that makes the process during the actual alignment phase more accurate, because it doesn't take a lot to decrease your accuracy. I mean, toric lenses are kind of an art form, and there's a million different ways to that doctors do their preoperative markings and their alignment to help with the alignment, but all of these things have some variability. And we have our programs that we use. Most of us use the Barrett program, and tells us to put an intraocular lens at a certain axis. So let's just say 45 degrees. And then we make preoperative markings, and then that gets translated to whatever system you're using in the eye, and you like to think that you have it at 45 degrees. But even if you're off 10 degrees, you now have about a 30% reduction of the toric effectiveness. So the alignment is hard, and a lot of us use, or a lot of ophthalmology community uses inking systems, where you have ink marks on the eye, and the ink marks bleed and they can run, and then you're trying to align these ink markings with the toric markings, and so there's some degree of inaccuracy. So for years I was using a different system. I didn't like the ink markings. I was actually using slit lamp markings. I thought that was the best way to do it. I actually rigged a slit lamp on a table at the bedside of the patient, and there's different tools that you can use to say you have a lens at 45 degrees. You can mark the cornea at 45 degrees with the slit lamp, and I actually will use a little cystotome to make markings on the cornea. So there's no ink there. There's no bleeding of ink. And it's highly accurate. I have since used a different system that's just as accurate. But then once you have those marks on the cornea, they can be a little hard to see. And so I got the idea from years ago. I was building a clubhouse for my daughter. And I was using like wooden shingles. And to align them properly, you have to use a chalk line. I don't know if you know what a snap chalk line is. It's a line that is weighted, and then you snap it and it makes a blue line. Okay? So you have these marks on the cornea, say at 45 degrees, and you have like a mark temporally and a mark nasally, and they're a little hard to see, but your brain wants to use a line. So I took a piece of 5-0 Vicryl, and with ink on it, wrapped it in my fingers, laid it across the cornea, connected the two dots. Now I have a line across the cornea, and that stays on there. So when you go to align your toric lens, you align the markings on the toric with the blue line on the cornea, and your brain loves it. And it makes alignment very, very accurate and easy and inexpensive, and it's just, I found to be a great tool. And so I actually made a YouTube video, I don't know, about 6 years ago, and I put it on YouTube, and I've been joking with my staff for years, one day I'm going to try to develop this and this and that. And I had a very good microscope rep introduce me to Diamatrix. And this happened just about the time that COVID hit. So all of a sudden I had a little bit of time on my hands when all of our offices were shut down. And I was introduced to Diamatrix. Ron thought it was a very good idea. and we can talk about the modifications that he made, but he thought that doing a corneal marking, that's something that actually made a line across the cornea, was a great idea. And we have been we're finally there to enter. And he made some clever modifications to it, and that's where we are now. So it's an inexpensive alignment system that I think can help ophthalmologists everywhere, because it doesn't require tens of thousands of dollars of expensive equipment to do anything. It's a line.
That's a brilliant story, and I love your inspiration. And could you tell me in a bit more detail about the process from your initial meeting with Diamatrix to the prototype phase?
Well, I probably when I met Ron, this has all been done. This has all been through Zoom, because this has all been a COVID project. Ascaris and everything was shut down, and so this whole thing has been done by Zoom and mail. It's been interesting. It's my first time I've ever been involved in a development type of thing. I felt very comfortable with Ron, and we started the development process. I showed him the initial video, and he almost immediately thought about what was my initial idea, was to have something that would look like a dental floss instrument where you just lay it across the cornea. But he actually said, why don't we put this on a Mendez ring? Put something that can snap on and off on a Mendez ring, so people can modify it for different alignment systems. We went through different trials, different material to use for the line, and then we went through an idea of using a 3D printer to try to make the whole thing from a 3D printer without having to use material. And that was actually very complex, and that was something that Ron can tell you a lot more about, because it was I think it was his first deep dive into 3D printing. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think he purchased a 3D printer, and there were some things that weren't working, like that we were hitting the cornea with the 3D printer line before the actual alignment. And that was messing things up. So we went back to where we were able to raise the line about 200 microns, and so we could get the alignment first, and then like a lunar landing on the moon, push it down and then get the line. And and all these things go back and forth through the mail. Try this modification, and he would ship me something, and then I would video it in the OR and record it, and we would talk back and forth. So the development process takes a little while, because each little tweak is another week or another 2 weeks. But you know what I mean. But I think we got something that we're excited about. And it can be modified for any alignment systems. I mean, I'm currently using I don't want to plug in for another company, but I'm using another company's alignment system that I'm very comfortable with. That I compared it to the slit lamp markings, and they were the same. And that's what I've been doing for about 2 or 3 years. But I needed, even with that alignment system, I needed something to augment it, so that when you were in the eye, it made it easy to find your markings on the cornea to align with the toric lens. And this line is gone the next day. So this is not permanent. I mean, when I see patients at post-op day 1, it's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. And would you recommend Diamatrix as a partner to develop product ideas for your colleagues, other surgeons? Do you feel that they enhance it in any way, add value to the product?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the idea of taking this just from a string device to something that we could put on a Mendez ring and modify it, we're still playing around with some future modifications to make it an all-in-one system. Ron and I we've been doing some different protocols for our preoperative alignment system. which is not easy. But he's it's clear to me that when I talk to him, he understands the eye. And he's been involved in ophthalmic surgery for many years, and then I've gotten to learn some of the other things that he's been involved with. And he's been involved in ophthalmology for I think 30 years, and so when he's been in the OR countless hours, I believe. So when you talk with him, there's an exchange back and forth where I'm not trying to recreate the wheel, and he understands what it is that we're doing. And that's why he was able to say, hey, why don't we try this or that? And then he has the knowledge of, with the 3D printer stuff. I would say, well, why can't we just elevate the line? Well, you can't do that for the following reasons. And he would spend the next 10 minutes telling me why the 3D printer modifications can't work. And so, like the average person, I thought a 3D printer was something that you just press a button and it makes what you want, and that's not what development is like. I mean, every little modification has something about it that is different, and so he's been very knowledgeable and very good with this. I mean, he shares the purpose that I had, that I wanted to do something to benefit patients. I wanted to do something that was going to improve outcomes and to make our job better, because toric lenses there's a certain art to it, that final alignment. And if you can do something to make it easier and more accurate in an inexpensive way, he shares that goal.
That's great to hear. Dr. Posner, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, you're very welcome.